sign up, put your name in the raffle, and you might get a book tonight. I'm going to read our mission statements, and I do not have this memorized, so I'm going to read it. Welcome to Helicon West. Our mission statement, Helicon West is a live reading series that brings published local writers to read alongside community members in an open, uncensored forum. In order to promote the voice of every community member and democratic ideals, we honor all levels of skill, ability, and craft. In addition to featuring published authors, to give the literary arts more exposure in Cache Valley and its surrounding areas, we invite and celebrate aspiring writers from every walk of life to find and share their voices with us. We are committed to the causes of inclusion, accessibility, and representation in our writing community. Helicon West operates on the territory of the northwestern band of the Shoshone Nation, whose people have been living, working, and residing on this land and from time immemorial. We acknowledge that these lands carry the stories of these nations and their struggles for survival and identity. We recognize elders past and present as peoples who have cared for and continue to care for the land. In offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous self-governance, history, experiences, and resiliency of the Native people who are still here today. And we would like to thank our sponsors, the Bear River Heritage Area, the Logan Library, Sugar House Review, the Utah Humanities, and our founder and Nathan St. Star Colebrook, and the Cache Valley Center for the Arts, as well as the Annex, which is our home tonight. And sorry. And all of the rest, but it's really good to see you, sorry. If you would like to read during the open mic portion of the event, which is the full event, sign up over there, put your name in the raffle, and you have 7 minutes. That's all you have. I'm going to be firm and polite when your 7 minutes are up, and I'm just going to start clapping, and everybody's going to join, and then let's go sit back down. So keep it to 7 minutes, or be ready to just end abruptly when people start clapping. Also, all of our Helicon Wests are recorded, as you could tell when I was running over there and trying to start it. If you don't want to be recorded, just let me know, and I will turn off the camera so that you won't end up on YouTube. And I think that's it, so I'm going to go grab...
And did you talk about the big...
Oh, I didn't talk about the bake sale. This is a fundraiser because it's the end of the year, and we want to stay funded and keep this event series going. So there are some baked goods over there. You can talk to Star or Millie, and they will hook you up. There's stuff over there that you're welcome to buy, and there's wonderful catering that you don't have to buy, that you can just go use. So I'm going to go grab the sign-up sheet now, and we'll announce 3 readers at a time. I'm going to just start with the raffle, and then we'll jump right into the open mic. But I'm going to go grab a book and be back. Woo!
And Sean Rachel.
Okay, so the first book that we have up for raffle is Shannon Bellum's Inside the Animal, which is, I'm going to say that every single book that is over there is stunning and beautiful. And Shannon is our poet laureate, so like, yeah.
It's gonna fall.
Thank you. There's a ledge. So our first is Jack.
That's me.
Nice.
Good job, Jack.
And our first
Way to write your name down.
readers will be Star Colebrook, Denise Gaxler, and Charles Watt.
Good job. You almost forgot the date. Oh no!
It might just be one of those where we tilt the mic. Oh no! Attaway Joseph.
Deal.
I'll start us off tomorrow. Muscle and blood, skin and bone, a mind, a vocabulary. I'm losing the longer I live. body pressing the sea well as it builds and surges. You'd think it would burst like ascites in a chemo-ridden friend whose cancer galloped faster than horses to water in the parched wasteland we call home. This planet, this desert, not meant for water to grow docile, shoved its laps beside a bank, washed with daffodils, fluttering and dancing. This body, this brain of mine, filled to the brim and empty, a dry stream bed, awash, played out after spring rains, drier than a river shunted down concrete walls to fill a reservoir that empties until nothing's left but the mud shells of houses abandoned and drowned. I feel drowned. Once I lived beside a river. It ran full, and it ran half full. It was filled with rocks and crawfish, sometimes with the body of a cow that wandered in and washed away when the power company turned the switch to force a wall of water all the way to Utah. I went all the way too. My water broke to push a new soul down the chute into this bitter sagebrush dryness, this prickly pear survival. How do you parcel out water? What shall we forego to keep from drying up, blowing away? How does a body grow its own water? In the ravages of cancer, the cutting and burning, the poisoning to bitter dregs, how do the body's own cells create a lake inside itself, 30 pounds of water swelling the skin to bursting? The body is not docile. The body takes in, makes something of itself, pushes against whatever constrains it, pushes out what's ready to go, like the wall of water the power company turns loose with a flick of a switch. Once it's flooded the head gates and set on its way, it's gone. And a reminder, remember, an open mic sheet is actually more than a page long, and so remember, if you sign up for the open mic, put your name in that square jar so you can get a book, okay? And there was something else I was going to say. Orange fudge. What was it? Orange fudge. Orange fudge. Oh my God, the orange fudge. I'm having a hot flash just thinking about it. How's Tom?
Yeah, Denise! Woo! This is good. You don't know how to do this, but it's okay. I just want to say, I just found out I got my first poem published. In the University of New Mexico journal review called Blue Mesa Review. Anyway, very exciting. Germination. Denise, down close. With the mic. Germination. In the dark of the house, she feels it gathering. All the unknown of what was yet to become this day, congregating, assembling into one enormous mass moving before her on the other side of the quilt. The weight presses upon her. She buries herself deeper, drawing almonds into a tight retreat. Curls close, scarcely breathing, she waits, she listens. The furnace clicks, whirs, exhales its toasty breath. The house creaks on its wooden bones. Unseen ice cubes clatter deep in the freezer. Far, far away, the faint refrain of bird song. Nearby, inside, a soft heartbeat. Like the seed submerged in dark soil, she feels the intimate inaudible call. The hard resistance softens. The body expands and stretches. The elasticity of muscle, the strength of bone, the fearlessness of lung, the courage of heart. Tossing back blankets, she emerges, this bright beam, this dazzling day. Trust. It is earlier than usual. Some nocturnal worry has roused me from sleep. The house is fully dark. There are no traces of light slipping around the edges of the window blinds or seeping in under the doorstep. I find myself uncertain as I follow my way through and around, exploring the unseen terrain, now unfamiliar and unknown. My fingers feel around edges, searching for points of contact, leading yet trailing alongside his body until they reach the brink of that surface, sending a message to the rest of the body to pause and linger before venturing forward untethered, hoping for another tangible point of connection. Yesterday, I watched a young man walk down the hallway outside my office. In his right hand, he held a long cane, his stick floating parallel to the floor. He walked close to the left wall, assuredly, not too slowly. When he came to the corner, his fingers opened and gently grazed the wall. He took the full 180 turn into the stairwell without hesitation, and was gone. I stood awash in the wake of his passing presence. I think of him now as I pause on the verge of a vast open space that is a room, that is a day, that is life. I think of him now walking into each new dark moment, ripe with the possibility of obstacle or fall. What unseen light illuminates his way? How does he sustain each courageous step? Where does he find his faith in the world? I think of him now and wonder. I think of him now and take the next step. This actually just happened the other day. This is called mutual understanding. Yesterday in the afternoon, I pulled into the driveway, which runs parallel to my neighbor's drive, with no space in between. Their gray minivan was parked as usual, topped up against their side porch stairs. My awareness was as wide as the vehicle I guided. Slowly in the car will allow it to gracefully glide through the narrow space. It steamed by just inches from the van's driver door, in the thicket of bushes on my driver's side. On the far right horizon of my sight, I saw her, face cupped in her hands, shoulders pulled forward, forehead heavy against the steering wheel. I rolled the car invisible, silent, so as not to disturb her grief, rolling down the last lengths of the driveway. I harked and paused and pondered. Uncertain, I walked back up that way, gravel crunching with each careful step. She was just about to step onto the porch and call her name. She stopped. She looked up. My heart didn't need the story. It didn't need the facts. It understood in that glimpse of an instant that nothing needed to be said. I opened my arms as we came near, and she opened hers. Nothing said. Two beings embracing on a cold November afternoon. Above in the tree, brittle leaves round. Out in the street, cars swish past. Beneath our feet, the earth turned.
I know, me too.
I feel like there's a problem. Oh, this is Trixie. This is not attaching you.
It's not attached where it's supposed to be.
Or just get it there, right there.
Doesn't have, but I'm so scared.
Sean, is the sign-up sheet up there?
I have it.
Okay, as a nod to the young people, I'm going to read from my phone. This also just happened the other day. Just kidding. I'm much better and I should all the time. It's called a stinger, but it wasn't difficult to isolate the marker for the wasp stinger, nor for the one that would grow a nearly barred marvelous time. But what worried Ricky Keith, Adamantine Gelarius, Steve Von Dyne from the start was the degree to which the therapy would also reorganize his guts and nuts, and whether the stinger itself would erupt out of his tailbone or what. He had no idea, and the torture of deliberating the unknown delayed him from pulling the trigger literally for hours, almost a whole night. He knew only too well a razor-sharp stinger erupting from a newly formed organ off his tailbone and somehow still connected to his guts could get real uncomfortable in lots of ways real quick. Like, would his guts get yanked out if the tine got stuck in something? Would he need to have a big hole in his jeans, or would the stinger pop right through? If it didn't pop through, which way would it go? And was it possible that he could actually stab his own ass cheeks? Or his balls? Because that would be so bad. Plus, how expensive would it be to have to replace your jeans all the time? How inconveniently to repeatedly bandage your balls? Could you make a kind of a doggy door in the jeans that would reseal, or at least not keep ripping open? Would he be able to sit on chairs? His ATV? Turns out he need not have worried at least about any of that. For some reason, he ended up with not one but 10 stingers, each presenting where a fingernail used to be. Turns out human keratin is not so different from the chitin that is in wasp stingers. And also, thanks to the plain old inborn biomechanics of the wasp stylet, the stingers could insert themselves into just about anything softish with literally no effort whatsoever. Orange peels, sofa cushions, footballs, most plastics, all fabrics, a lover's skin, hypothetically. In fact, anybody's skin, including his own, really. They'll all seem to suck those stylets in as if they've been asking for them. But once he found out that he actually had not a lick of control over this whole deal, he realized he'd kind of gone and done himself a king-mitis. Just because the histamine in the stinger that is injected is already there in the little venom sacs behind the stylet didn't mean that that was actually in the skin at large. And it turns out that shit still hurts, like having all hell's minions pitchfork their way inside a person several stingers at a time. Equally frustrated, he kept fucking up his gear as he tried to engineer a reverse therapy. He finally found a stinger-proof keyboard for his computers, but only after trashing 4 of them. He bought a rollerball mouse and got used to manipulating the little on-screen arrow with his palm, which worked fine, but made him feel kind of like a trained walrus. You know, a walrus had stingers sticking out of the end of his fingers. Maybe that's something for next time. Sorry, that's the part that I'm reading from this. I can't actually find where I am. Eventually, he taught himself not to touch anything absent-mindedly, especially not any part of himself. And once he also retrained himself how to handle the CRISPR unit, the syringes, the eye droppers, the centrifuges, and all the rest of the lab equipment without destroying it too, it was only a matter of days to get the reversal ready to go down the hatch. In the meantime, and while he waited for the therapy to kick in, he had to get creative with meals, since he could only eat out of heavy ceramic bowls big enough to keep his fingers from accidentally touching one another. Forks, spoons, knives, obviously were all right out. He nearly went mad with the bowls anyway, since the stinger's built-in penetration mechanisms endlessly tap, tap, tap at the ceramic, looking for a way inside and making a soundtrack to every meal, freakish, scritching drum circle ever on beat. Those goddamn times were apparently just totally and perpetually unsatisfied with the simple service of things. Hey, he kept telling himself, no one said it would be easy. Besides, once that reverse therapy kicked in and the finger stingers reabsorbed into the surrounding skin and tissue, the nail beds came back too. And when they did, the nails they grew were black as ebony, their chitinous shine dazzling as night.
signed up to read and you haven't put your name in this, let me know. Do you want your name in this? Okay. Do you want your name in this right now?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do two right now. We've got Harvest by our Helicon West coordinator, Britt Allen. It's incredible. It's a chapbook and it's great. And then we have Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos, provided by Russ Beck, who runs Toad and Tricycle over there on Main Street. So the first book will be Harvest on, we're just going to reach in here. Oh yeah. And that is Denise. Yeah, thank you. And then, I don't remember the title of this Dungeons and Dragons book, but the Dungeons and Dragons goes to Paulus Clark. Yeah. Here you go, Paul. Okay, and thank you to our first three readers. Our next three readers are Paulus, Tim, and Jay. So Tim, Taylor, and Jay.
This is going to take me a minute to get back into my old talk.
Is this part of the performance, dude?
No.
Oh, okay.
I had it saved on my phone and I don't know what happened. I had to go back to my Google Drive.
Paul, do you want someone to go before you and then?
Go ahead, yeah, one more.
And then, yeah, okay. And then you're welcome to get right back up after. So we'll have Tim, and then Paul, and then Jay. Thanks, Paul. Can I get your camera? Yeah. The other one is The Cowgirl and the Racehorse by Ashley Wells. So, we'll start with the key to this whole entire thing. And Charles, I put your name in and you won. Yeah. And then The Cowgirl and the Racehorse. I'm going to hold it like this, even though that's uncomfortable for everybody. And that goes to Brock.
All right.
Okay, and our next three readers are going to be Chad Van Zanten, as previously announced, Sam Capasso, and Hannah Lee. Yes? Perfect. Okay?
Sign it, sign it.
This thing actually is in there. This is a short version, but it's weird because the story that's in there started as a shorter piece that I wrote for this, and then I fleshed it out into a story for that book, and then I went to the source file and shaved it down so that I could read it here. So this is like, you remember in the Aliens movie when they have those jars of Ripley, clones? This is what that is. It's called Exacto. No one has to tell me how great Ripley was. It was no accident that old boyfriends call place. Oh, we're so, how are things with you and Bridget? The thing about me and Trent is that we hate each other's guts. I actually feel bad about that. People shouldn't hate, but he feels the same way about me, so maybe it's okay. Because it goes back quite a while, back to college. I think that Trent stole some girl from me, and he thinks I stole one from him. We probably didn't have anything to do with it, but that's how we saw it, and now we hate each other. But we can't admit this. See, if I tell Trent I hate him, he wins, and vice versa. That's why he could ask about Bridget. He knew I'd be nuts. It's not that I worry about Trent stealing Bridget. She's embarrassingly loyal. One time we were at Spooky's playing pool, and she slapped some guy for coming on to her, slapped him right across the face like a movie star. And she could be with the hair, the smile. Trent must have heard that me and Bridget were having problems. It wasn't the usual though. I liked her, she liked me. The problem was she was always presenting me with parts of her body and saying, will you pick this? Will you pop this? Will you peel this for me? It was like a Zen thing for her. I spent one whole Sunday afternoon peeling her sunburn. Peeled every square inch of her back. One piece was the size of a $1 bill, and it made a sound like duct tape coming off the wall. She said, oh, that was a good one. Other couples go for bike rides, walks in the park. What am I doing this Sunday? Oh, not much, just being with my girlfriend. The day she moved in, she called me into the bathroom. She was twisted around trying to see her shoulder blade. She said, babe, can you see this? Is this a zip or what? I do not know. She said, well, does it look like it belongs there? Can you pick it off? Can you squeeze it? I said, you want me to squeeze it? She said, yeah, go for it. Then she braced herself on the towel rack like we were in some Western movie and I was getting ready to I worked on it for 5 minutes. Finally popped, a bunch of pus came out and blood. I think I was in love with her, but I wasn't ready for pus. Is that selfish? Is it selfish to say, I love you, but I don't want your pus on it? Things got worse. Lancing blisters, plucking wild kiki hairs from unexpected regions of her body. She'd say, hey, remember that big blackhead we found the other day? I'd say, yeah. Well, you didn't get it all the way out here. And that's when she'd whip out the little black bag, a nylon zipper pouch with tweezers and gauze and stuff, a toolkit for the pseudo-medical maintenance of her body. She said, if those tweezers won't do the job, there's an X-Acto knife. I used to kiss the top of Bridget's feet where the veins trace up into her ankle. Then, she introduced me to the foot smoother. It's like a plastic chicken egg with a little cheese grater on one side. You rub it on the rough parts of your feet to smooth them out. The shavings collect inside like a pencil sharpener, except instead of wood and graphite dust, it's all full of dead human skin and powder form. The first time I emptied it, I pulled it apart instead of twisting it so it popped open and the skin shavings went all over me. Like when you sneeze on a powdered sugar donut. I ripped it in, it went on my face and lips. I couldn't kiss feet after that. Same thing happened with all our other parts. One by one, they devolved into individual dermatological concerns. After 6 months of ingrown hair control, I guess I started losing interest. Trent Gleason checked in with me. I told him things are going fine. He said, my God, you're such a vulture. He said, well, vultures can tell when something's going to die. He's quick like that. Bridget wanted to move the relationship forward. I mean the semi-medical X-Acto knife relationship. She started asking me questions I couldn't handle, like, hey James, my pee kind of smells like dish soap. What do you suppose that means? Come here and smell. You think there's something wrong with my bladder? Our physical intimacy became bodily intimacy, and that's not exciting, it's clinical. And that's how I thought about her as my patient. Sometimes instead of sex, I would move to her knees and maybe give her a quick breast exam. I didn't know whether to smoke a cigarette or bill her insurance. I finally told her, we can't stay together. It went about like you think. It was like her ingrown toenail. She was crying, blood everywhere. But I started thinking that every relationship I'd ever been in had some version of zits and infected toenails. Something I put up with for a while and then dropped. Like when Chloe moved in, I said we could get a puppy, but then I just stalled until we broke up. I told Katie I'd do yoga and made it about 2 days before I quit. I told Bridget I'd help her with the charity races and volunteer stuff. I said, sure, babe, I'll help you. Never helped her. I mean, what's worse, having a big nasty zit that needs popping, or saying you'll do volunteer stuff when you know, in fact, you don't mean it. I started maybe thinking that we could start over, but Bridget was already cut open and drained. All I could do was mop it up and try to do better with the next girl. She wasn't even moved out when Trent Gleason texted, hey, was gonna come by and check out your new place, okay? I was lying in bed. I finally understood why our old boyfriends called back from college, from high school even. But you can't unlance a boil. You can't unpeel a sunburn. Sure, Trent, come on over anytime. The Rangers were playing and he watched the game with me. He never was really a bad guy. But then he said, so, I heard you and Rich are true. I said, yes, we are. He said, I was thinking about asking her out. I didn't let you think it could get messy. I didn't say a word. Just got up and walked out. He sat there. I went into the bathroom, got a little black bag. I added a few things to that bag. Surgical gloves, better pair of tweezers. I got one of those little mirrors dentists use. I'm not even going to explain that one. I went back to the couch and handed the bag to Trent. He opened it, took out the exact, and I said, what's all this for? I said, it's for her. It's all for her.
Hello, I'm Sam. This is as yet untitled. I stand triumphantly atop the hill next to my horde of geodes and cheetos and listen to the wind trailing its fingers through the scrub and emptiness. The sun inches towards the horizon, encouraging the air temperature to dip and the wind to pick up. Maybe the hole I dug can offer some respite from the nagging chill of the breeze. The dogs lay content to wait for their man. While I dug, they guarded and waited. I too wait for their man. A fool to have left my coat in the car. The mission of mercy to town with the stranded rock counters has gone longer than he had hoped. If he got back now, I'd be surprised it went so quick. I stretch my person and then my mind into the welcoming solitude. Mixed emotions splitting across my attention concerning my lack of company. The hole I've been working on provides minimal protection from the badgering of the wind.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah, and I'm going to read three poems. The first one is titled Vitamin A, which is the name of my great-grandma. This is based off of a true experience that happened to my grandmother recently. Okay. Cousin Nick moved out of that small town to the big city, Sleep Paducah, where the Mississippi pushed by like a long gray marsh across the states. He found an ancient apartment on the avenue, a one-bedroom with hidden nooks, walls that didn't line up right, and wallpaper that curled in Kentucky humidity. In spring, Grandma drove through the country to see his new life, followed him up the creaky stairs, installed in his doorway, stared into his first apartment, and couldn't make a sound. She knew it all. The stained enamel stove, the hallway to the back room, the deep-set window on the far wall. She walked straight to the bedroom as if in a dream, and surely it was a bedroom. And on the way, gently pointed out the radiator without a word. Paducah, a fixed point in Grandma's childhood. Amid a string of divorces, her mother had bought a little apartment in the 60s with creaky stairs and a river running beside. She and her mother had shared a single bedroom. Now, decades later, Grandma crouched around the doorframe like a child glancing at heaven. She paused, braced herself as if Vitamin A would be there on the bed with her feathered hair and thin wrists, just like 60 years before. The bed was empty, devoid of an angel mother, nothing but the hum of a fan, that wrinkled wallpaper, and beyond it, a long, sliding river swimming in the window, that continual shifting of gray. This one's called Wicked Wax. Ruby red taillights blur as the remains of rain settle where they can. Tonight, the water pools at a solitary gas station like a deep river running home, settling beyond the reach of overhanging fluorescence. White boxed columns rise like Rome among spit spots of oil in discarded cans, where one patron hovers a gas pump. In the quiet of the storm settling, before old world speaks up and shifts the asphalt into a black mirror. Water rises to greet sky, and her as well. She who is illuminated by the alien lights, who stands between tall pillars, a traveler. All around her, the otherworldly stillness of the water, that great and terrible reflection, mirroring the flickering street lamp, the lime green gas sign. Under the buzzing lights, she pauses to consider the aisle that has risen, the moat around the station, and hears a voice, the ancient known tone of washing pools in once holy springs. It surrounds the maiden, reaches up through the makeshift pathway and sighs. Child of the concrete, where could you have learned such stillness? And then this is my last one. This was inspired yesterday. I was at an event where I got to type some live poetry for people depending on what prompts they would give me. And somebody gave me a prompt of a fear of change. And since I'm graduating this semester, I kind of ran with that one, and even though I gave away the poem, I still remember a lot of what I'd written, so I decided I wanted to kind of hold it out a bit. So it's kind of fresh. Okay, and I have a title yet, so I'm titled as of right now. Change brings spring, but endings as well. The last words spoken to my kindergarten friend, whose names in 2 years I will no longer remember. The renovated wall in grandmother's house that once bore my height, now custard yellow and shiny. A bus rumbles home from summer camp. I am too old now. I will never see these mountains again. Later, my sister and I sit, legs tangled on the couch. She moves in the morning. Her wedding is 3 months away. And we sit as the hours pass by, putting off the shifting of light as long as we can. This is the last roof we will ever share. I take the path I once walked to school, and an old woman watches me from her window, brown knit and mouth downturned. The hide-and-seek nook beneath the stairs is now a forgotten place, and the last snow comes and goes unnoticed. Where will I go when the familiar is gone?
One of the things I really love about Helicon West is how you can go from something really funny to something really thoughtful and just experience a whole range of emotions. I love this writing community, and I'm so happy that we're all here tonight. So the next two books we have are Reclamation by Brock DeShare and the Helicon West Anthology, which is a collection of pieces that have been read at Helicon West or been written by our writing community. So for Reclamation, our lucky winner is Taylor. Theo? And for the Helicon West Anthology, we have Tim Keller. Okay, I'm going to put you back in. Thanks, Tim. Okay. Millie Toulis is also published in this, so I'm going to put her back in. Sam Picasso. Okay, and our next three readers are Shannon Bellum, Brock DeShare, and Jack Hyland.
I've had a stroke, and so this first poem is called First Poem After the Stroke. First poem after the stroke. Rain of beads dripping down, alert and determined, I wake from the fog of my life. A scream of snow on the branches of the crabapple tree. I am a monarch butterfly who will emerge with wet wings jeweled with dew. I am a monarch butterfly with wings jeweled and a stained glass heart. Okay, this one's called Nobody. Nobody understands what it is like to have a stroke. Knees buckling and a crash to the bathroom floor. I called out to my husband for help. That was the last thing I said for 3 days. This one's called Kaleidoscope. In the hospital, I lived inside, shadows and light ever shifting, nurses dressed in blue, sifting in and out of my room like sand. I woke in a different room every day. Furniture was moved or missing. Okay, this is called Snapdragons for Brock. You bought me snapdragons from the grocery store. The blossoms are rust orange, but they are emerging blush pink and pale yellow near the top of the stalk. I pinch one to see inside its mouth. There, 3 sprigs dusted with gold pollen, and the soft, toothy trap designed to rub pollen off bumblebees' legs and feet. Today is the last Sunday in February. I had a massive stroke on the 9th of January. Today I moved my big toe. You bought me snapdragons. You are my hero. Okay, I'm going to read 3 more. This one's called April. April. The willow tree is tangled with sunlight. Peace comes dropping slow. A waterfall of pink blossoms outside the window. The lily of the valley glow like pearls. I wore a spray in my hair on my wedding day. Fragrant like a rainbow trembling. 4.5 months since I had the stroke. To know darkness, you must travel through darkness. Its dense forests of pain. The light is tangled in my hair, on my eyelashes, bright as feathers. A single sandhill crane standing in dry lake like a prophet. I am no stranger to pain. I am afraid to feel. This suffering is smothering me like a rag stuffed in my mouth. Toss my losses into the river's green gloss. I see a horse, a chestnut horse, munching meadow grass. It approaches me, comes closer, and my grief dissolves. A single red leaf, dotted with dew, turns on still water. Okay, this one's called Facing It. I've lost the ability to walk. I can't do stairs or go uphill or downhill. I've lost my beautiful penmanship. But I can let go of things with my right hand. I used to grip so hard the handrail at rehab. I relearned how to use chopsticks. I could open pill bottles and LaCroix cans. I haven't lost the ability to write poetry. I made it up and down Little Mountain, cascades of birdsong, and then silence. Graceful arcs, silver spray of sprinklers in a far field. 3 sandhill cranes flying in unison. 3 sandhill cranes dissolved into the mountain. A skunk plumes its luxurious black and white tail. A deer bounding. A A monarch butterfly up close for the first time, flashing its wings, opening and closing its wings, perched on an elm leaf, mesmerizing near the river, perched on an elm leaf, opening and closing its wings near the river, opening and closing. Okay, this last one is called Damage. Damage. The oxygen deprivation blossomed in the brain. It was almost beautiful, if it had been my brain. My right foot is numb, cold, and heavy as an anvil. I crashed to the tiled floor. The blue and black bruise throbbed on my thigh. This is my life trial. I clawed my way through the cobwebs of aphasia, dull and empty my brain. Snow on the crabapple branches again. I'm radiant with patience. I will not break.
So I've been going to the Shannon's classes this semester and doing all the prompts, using the prompts. And one of her prompts was to choose a well-known inanimate object out of a known story and have a dream. This is after one of her own poems about having a bad dream at the door. So this is the poisoned apple from Snow White. The poisoned apple dreams. All afternoon the poisoned apple dreamed it was a prune, puckery and petite, taken tenderly by Snow White's lips, tangoed by her teeth, tangled by her tongue, teased by her teeth, sucked ravenously, awash in saliva, nourishing, rousing, embodying desire, flattered to be Frenched by such a mouth, such a girl, not cramping her with poison, but lubricating her with delight. She would never swoon. The prince would never wake her with a kiss. She would suck until the pit was slimy, and spit it out to grow another tree. So I've been debating with myself all week what I was going to read tonight. All the stuff I've been writing recently has been either really depressing or really offensive. Offensive in either a too sexual or blaming everything on religion sense. I thought I didn't want to be either depressing or offensive. So a couple weeks ago, for reasons I can't remember, in my poetry group, I found myself reciting one of my old songs, and written Aaron, for some of you know, found it amusing. So I thought I might try that. So I'm going to do something I've never done. I'm going to recite a song. Actually, we've got 2/3 of our band here. We can almost play it, but you know. The song is called "The Other Side of Me Is Hot," and it's about the favorite activity of most adolescents. I met you in a bar room, baby. I was sublimely cool. I flashed through my big roll and did a handstand on the stool. I ordered a Yukon Lightning and I mixed it up myself. Grabbed a fin from out of the wind and drank to your health. I knew that you were ready, but I walked out the door as if I had a score of girls and couldn't use no more. This part of me is cool, you see, but shy as any child. And if you'd ever talk to him, I know it would drive him wild. But the other side of me is hot, baby, when I get home. The other side of me is hot, baby, when I'm alone. When I get home, my blood is boiling in my veins. I have to cool it off before I go insane. I stand there and think of you and pull on my tool. I moan and writhe and snap and jerk until I drool. But the other side of me is hot, baby. I burn and pant. I wish you'd take my temperature, but I know you can't.
jump into those, number one, there's still food over there. So like, go get food while I stall for a second.
Do an intermission.
Yeah, intermission. Go get food. Go get food. And this is poetry by Ben Bedford. So, for wild mustard. Uh-oh. I can't read this. Teresa, will you come?
I taught school.
Okay.
That for sure says Jack.
The Jack already?
Well, is there a second Jack?
Is there a second Jack?
Jack, no last name?
Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For Welcome Dangerous Life, we've got Jacob Taylor. Yeah. Okay, and we're moving into the graduate student section. So we've got Keegan, Taylor, and Jacob up next.
All right, I'm going to read two poems. This first one's an older one. My wife doesn't like this one very much because it's not about her. She's scared. It's called Gunnison. I had a friend from a wealthy family who lived in a trailer with his wife on Teocalli Street that had a plywood door and a hole for the dog, with a gas stove connected to a duct-taped gas line that led out through a rat-chewed hole, ignored by the previous tenant who left in the night, or died in the night, haunting that place along with the chickens and their constant clucking that still hung in the air, along with the smell of their meat mixed with spinach and eggs for breakfast. After the dog squeezed back inside through that hole, its mouth spilling over with blood and feathers, and my friend had salvaged what he could, plucked fur and feathers from mangled remains. I plucked at his Gibson on the dusty couch, and he cleaned his Mossberg, while his wife made breakfast and folded that chicken's meat inside of its own eggs. We ate under a collapsible awning, caved in from last winter's snow, and his wife refilled my coffee and tossed in my hair when I said thank you. The steam mixed with our breath in the morning mountain air, and we did not speak. In the silence outside that trailer, he pretended to be poor, and I pretended to be there to see him. And this is a new one. This is about my wife. There's a button on my favorite flannel, red and black. The threads are coming loose, red and black, one by one, unfurling with red and black. Not the top button, like would be convenient, but right in the middle, where you put your hand through to touch my chest and wrap my hair around your fingers. I try to stick the button in the loose threads and remember how you have torn my life apart in the best of ways.
Hello. Hi. Okay, I have 3 poems that I'm reading today, and sorry if they're very bodily. My thesis is very bodily, so anyways, sorry if anyone is worried about that. This first one is called Bruises. Also for background, I play basketball a little bit, so there's some references to that. Sorry if it's confusing. They are purple, blue, red galaxies in the midst of freckled stars. It is a joy discovering micro-heavens I didn't even know I had. Like finding life on new planets, watching nebulae be born. So beautiful, I almost forgot it takes pain to form one. Almost. This one from a stray and space-filled kick. This one from the gas giant grip of the girl I was guarding. This one from falling like a shooting star. Milky Ways and Andromedas. On my back, my arms, my knees, small clots collecting like dust clouds of damaged capillaries, swirling to the surface to show I can take a punch, while finding ways to make the blood truck under my skin beautiful. Let them dot my body, turn my skin into a universe. They cannot just be tender skin showing where I've been damaged. Not when they look like space, using me as the backdrop to fix their stars against. Not broken vessels, just constellation after constellation that I must chart and name. I wonder, I poke them to see if they still hurt. I almost crave them. Proof that I am the center of something. I collect them like Hubble collects the cosmos, and I'm always a little sad when they start to fade. And then this is called An Ode to Seasonal Depression, Part sharp 3. Every year I write one of these, and I'm feeling more cynical than usual. This was supposed to be my happy year. New marriage, new house, new job, new winter storms more cheery rather than chilling. But people from the north like me who fill each snowflake as it solidifies into the ice cage around pale flesh and crimson hearts do not get holly jolly winters. We find that gingerbread tastes like Adderall dissolving on the tongue, and twinkling lights become auras, become reminders of the sun that feels so half-hearted it's devastating. We get therapy lights. We take cover. We wait for the brave tulip bulb that will break through the white and barren tundra. This last one is called taxidermy. The femur bone is one of the hardest in the human body to break, which is why it is the most devastating. Small chips cracking down the length, one half subducting the other like tectonic plates, the lithosphere of anatomy, of thigh bone. Contained in its layers of weaved muscle, ligaments, and tendons, tunnels and canals of the necessary material for movement, sits the marrow-filled white rod not meant to break, which does so with a violence, reducing host to absolute stillness. Femoral shaft fractures are frequently attributed to high-energy collisions. Compound fractures, a love story for breaking completely in two. For finding yourself in collisions you did not choose, you could not avoid. The flesh around the cleat frame, unable to support itself, folds and collapses, waiting for the alleviation, for the slow return and rebuild to righted form. The wait is long, the ache almost unbearable.
Hello. I'm also reading poetry because I don't like chopping up my essays. But you get 2 poems. I usually only read one. Okay, this one's called One Half. Half of you created me. Your semen conquered my mother's womb. I have your hair, your eyes, your innovative mind, your sharp words etched into the folds of my brain. I knew to fear your words before I learned to speak. From Mom, I took my love of music, curly handwriting, a fragile emotional state. From you, I learned to hate. I saw that angry men could disobey God, for he too is an angry man. Half of me is an angry man. I sometimes doubt that 2 halves make a whole. Perhaps one subtracts from the other, leaving nothing at all. I fear my 1/2 angry man, that he might consume my other half, like how a female praying mantis is said to devour her mate through nourishment. If I entangled my swirling strands of nucleic acids, could I get rid of him? Or would he gather his fragmented helixes and track me down? But you gave me more than merely chromosomes. You taught me when to hide, when to lie, when to hope to die. Your actions altered my phenotypes, trauma fueling the epigenetic mutation, and made you even more than half of me. I shaped my 1/2 angry man to be your opposite. Although I disqualified everything you taught, I never forget 1/2 me equals you. And then this one is called Our Mother's Scar. Our mother's womb came out when I did. After the cutting of my cord, all the ones who could have become were carved out like pumpkin seeds. Before I became the eldest of us, traded mother's cradle for a pine box. The 3rd drank oxygen from tubes. In my final trimester, I confined our mother to a black faux leather couch where she nearly lost me too. And month by month since puberty, others, only possibilities, passed through her blood and died. But where did the rest of us go? To landfills, down drains, Did doctors burn our unborn siblings up? Only 3 of us made it out alive. With her insides excavated, our mother grafted prostate to her sewn-up abdomen, searched the world for children whose mothers had what she wanted, but did not want what they had. She adopted 3 and married into more. Our mother did not care from whom we grew. She loved us all the same, those who died, and even I who broke her cradle and cut our siblings off from life like the cord of a child born still.
Okay, for the next 2 books, we've got a D&D Player's Handbook provided by Russ Beck from Trojan Toad and Tricycle, not Trojan Bicycle, the other one. And then we have Chad Van Zanten's On Fly Fishing the Wind River Range essays on what not to bring. Yeah. So we'll start with the D&D. And Millie, that's you.
Hey.
Yeah. And then for On Fly Fishing the Wind River Range, this doesn't make sense because it's Chad Van Zanten.
Spooky.
Spooky. Put me back in, Chad.
Yes, put it back.
Okay, and now we've got Jay Payne. Okay. Our next 3 readers are Teresa Dyer, Sean Anderson, and Millie Tullis. So, yeah.
If you, like I used to not know, so if you don't know, the corporate term for layoff is reduction in force. That's what I need to know. I live in corporate America now. Reduction in force. This morning at work, I listened to saved messages on the answering machine of the man who used my corporate desktop phone before me. Brad worked for the company 30 years, got laid off in the latest wave a couple months ago. I met him once in passing and thought him pleasant. I'm told his boss tried to let him go, torn up that the reduction in force order rolled down for the execs. The messages he saved are from family. Check-ins from an adult daughter over the battling of background children, sweet reminders from a wife who faithfully mocks his voicemail reading, the promise of a funny story from a grown son who tells him with the ease of habit that he loves him before beating up. A very young child whose message is only 2 patient coos of Grandpa, Grandpa. Most and best are the messages from a child at home who identifies himself as Brian, reading the list like the results of a home computer security scan, asking his dad to print something off for him for homework, inviting him cordially to a backyard camp-out that weekend. Fed by the everyday care and messages this man saved, the life he led comfortably seated at his desk for 30 years, I don't know how to pivot back to my payroll duties. Don't know how to erase his playfully mockable reading and record my own. Don't know how comfortable I can ever feel hearing his desk, so suddenly vacated, using his phone, erasing his saved messages.
Yeah. I'm back, but I'll actually read this time. So this is an essay that I don't have titled yet, so we're just going to jump in. Sometimes when I lie in bed, I try to stretch back towards some primal sense of humanity that must have existed before the division of language. I press my head into the too soft pillow and conjure up memories, phrases, stories that I try to dissolve, trying to feel microfiber sheets on skin, pillow pressed to face. But even these sensations are rooted in words, words that I want to push away because the desire to name, to to speak, to define, creates a border around an experience. Of course, I cannot exist in a world without words. As a species, we've learned words can help us build community. We've learned to say, I am suffering, and if we are lucky, sometimes we will hear a loved one ask, how can I help? Or even more powerfully, someone might say, me too. A simple two-word sentence bridging the infinite gaps between individuals. It feels selfish to want to abandon language, like I've looked around at the myths our society has built, myths like justice, equality, or capitalism, and I'm throwing my hands up in surrender because I've stopped believing. A friend of mine spent the summer studying Greek. While sitting on my living room couch, he expounds on the many verb tenses and moods in the ancient language. Ancient Greek holds space for more verbal moods than English. He postulates that perhaps the rising anxiety rates might be because English verbs are centered in futuristic speculation. Our brains trained to fixate on the future, forever uncertain. I mentioned Robin Wall Kimmerer's essay, Grammar on Fantasy, where Kimmerer explores the language of her indigenous ancestors, a language that consists of mostly verbs, that remind the language wielding that language does not grant agency. The world carries and enacts its own agency, whether or not language permits it. In The Way of Zen, Alan Watts explains that Zen is a harder concept for the Western world, because our language has never truly made space for certain uncertainty. The conclusion of the conversation, something is wrong with English. After our conversation, I think back to the freshman English classes, where I stood at the front of the room or hosted the Zoom call, and extolled the power of finding the words that enable connection, that enable healing. I am caught peddling lies. In my second semester of grad school, as I taught rhetoric, explaining the importance of audience awareness, while insisting that each student wrote to a specific audience, a woman in cowboy boots, seated in the second row, raised her hand. She asked, what if we know that the audience that we want to reach will never listen to us? I replied, we try our best. Her first essay was about roses in a vase, on a counter, in a house, delivered by a husband with fists that hit so hard, her body ejected the fetus growing inside of her. At the end of the school year, she invites me to her wedding. She has met a new man, and she assures me that this time will be different. The lockdowns have just started, so I watch on Zoom as she rides on horseback into the camera frame, where the new man waits for her. While I watch them make their vows, I still carry the arrogance of idealism, believing that because of my class, because of her own writing, about her previous marriage, she has reached the marital altar once more. The arrogance doesn't just come from idealism, it comes from experience. I have written about leaving faith. I have written about my own childhood sex abuse. I project this faith in writing onto the student who invited her English instructor to a small intimate wedding ceremony. Through the course of the pandemic, we lose touch, as most students and teachers do. I can only hope this marriage is different from her first. As I teach through the pandemic, my classroom is reduced to mostly black screens with names I could not match to faces. I changed my message. Despite the fact that I am supposed to be teaching about writing, I focus most of my time begging my students to show up, to work together to build a community in the online spaces where we are meeting, where we are starved for interaction. I spend hours emailing and meeting with students in individual conferences, asking about work, family, health. I want to tell each person to sit down, to breathe deep, to write. I want to give them the tool that I still believe will fix our broken world, even while my writing feels neglected, and I sit transfixed on the newscasts about stolen elections and insurrectionists. When students tell me I am suffering, I try to respond with how can I help, but I am finding that I cannot help. My students are buried in debt, they experience the deaths of close friends, they are losing their hope, and I am burning out. I dropped out of graduate school at the end of the year, but here again words fail. My English-wired brain, ever focused on the future, craves the period, the final punctuation of the sentence. I dropped out of graduate school at the end of the year. I want the certainty that I have lost my faith in teaching, have lost my hope in writing, that I have truly dropped something, and have emerged from that fall a changed person. And if I cannot give my anxiety-riddled brain that certainty, then it demands that I enroll in classes once more. The maple in the backyard has turned golden, and many of my friends have started classes again. They tell me stories about teaching, they describe the books they are reading for school, they cancel plans for homework. I can't quiet my own envy. I want to sit in on the speculative nonfiction class where writers discuss how to speak emotional truths that expand beyond our spoken language. I want to sit down with students again and tell them me too when they step into my graduate instructor cubicle to tell me I am suffering. More than anything, I want to be able to return to language like a best friend who I lost touch with. I hope I will find it better off than when I left it. And if not, I hope there's enough trust that I can say I am suffering, and maybe the beautifully simple bridge will be offered me too. Although I am a cynic, hope might be the only remedy for my language-induced anxiety. When I lie in bed, willing away words, trying to surrender to moments beyond language, my husband's hands will find my skin, a point of contact between two infinites. I seize at words like husband, touch, and warm. Each word still divides, still puts a border around a moment and a person that expands beyond traditional definition. But I try to feel the ridges of his fingertips. I try to surrender to a moment, to release my tight-fisted, clinging to words. When my husband's fingers find me under the microfiber sheets, I try to hold on to a simple two-word prayer, me too. Thank you.
Widen my mouth wider, and she
finished taking off my fever baby bib and make our escape, I saw that the dentist had called his wife and children and secretary and hygienist over to see my prodigy mouth, and I had to stand for several minutes and blush and nod and shake answers to their questions, but dared not open my mouth one bit, as it was so sore and full of blood, and as I could not stomach the thought of single drops of escape. Thanks.
Hey, we've got our last two books, and then we'll have our last three readers. Thank you again for coming out tonight. Our last two books are Sky Songs by Jennifer Seiner and City of Poetry by our matron St. Stark Holbrook. So we'll start with Sky Songs, and we'll finish with City of Poetry, and then we'll go into our last three readers. Okay. So, Shad Van Zanten, I drew you again. Sky Songs is yours. Okay, and Hannah Lee. Okay. And our last three readers are Izzy Lurer, I think, and then Maya Beathers and Jack Johnson.
Hello. I'm going to be reading a short story, but if you want it to be a guided meditation, you can have it if that too. Good luck figuring out what that means. This is so oranges. A train whistle blows beyond the rolling green hills of no man's land. You wave at the passengers you cannot see, and the supposed passengers do not wave back. Come to think of it, you've never seen the train. No one has. The element of mystery is what makes a steam locomotive, such as the Executioner, a priceless treasure for both the locals and the modern experts of the grassland. You reach your arms to the sky and let out an audible yawn. Your signal is received. A string of thinly cut aspen bark drifts down from the partly cloudy sky and lands at your hands. In a font similar to Comic Sans are the words, "The day is free, remember the tides." As soon as the message is read, you pull the bark off your hand as if you're blowing a kiss, and the message bursts into flames before disappearing completely. It's about time that heavenly scholars switched to eco-friendly messages. You've never been one to enjoy the sky. You grew up in a small apartment with your biological siblings and adopted parents, where the walls were made of upcycled cardboard and the neighbors were pigeons in trench coats. It never mattered to you that the neighbors were pigeons in trench coats. Everyone's a pigeon in one way or another, you reminded yourself. You tend to think more progressively about these issues. The hardest part of living in the city was the economic crisis. I don't believe in money, you said. Your mom looked up from her cosmopolitan magazine. What do you mean you don't believe in money? I don't believe it's real, and I no longer wish to support its usage. She stared at you unblinking, her eyelids hadn't grown in yet. These are not the traditional family values your father and I taught you. Well, yeah, you rolled your eyes. That's kind of the point. Minutes of silence turned into days of silence. After 2 weeks of staring at each other without saying a word, you sighed. I think it's time I moved out. The transition between having a home and not having a home proved to be much less fun than anticipated. Of course, there are things you would do differently if you could go back, such as bringing sturdy boots rather than one other's sandals, but your past self did not have the knowledge your present self possesses. You must remember to extend kindness to your past self for having the courage to make a hard decision in the first place. The sun is shining at half brightness, making today the perfect day for a morning stroll. You wander across the rolling hills where a train blew its whistle only minutes ago. A flock of geese pass overhead, their aerodynamic bodies cast moving shadows upon an already shifting landscape. The earth is alive and you are alive with it. You stumble upon a patch of forget-me-nots, the only patch of forget-me-nots
lake. Icicle dries, drips, dries in that lake, shaking in threes, straighten, bend, rip, 30, rip, bend, straighten, seconds. Mention, your bore sleeps on the wrong side of the bed, straighten. Scars fill their bloody noses, lines of moths, more time, years. Your sage says, bend, bend, try, bend, bend, cry, bend, bend, wide, bend, bend, high, bend, bend, hard, bend, bend, far, behind, bend, bars, bend, bed, bend, cars, and then love, lay, laid, laid, love, less, love, laid, aid, gain, laid, love, stress, laid, age, laid, blame, laid, shame, laid, lost, laid, lost, laid, lost, laid, lost, laid.
Well, great, I have to follow that up. Sorry. Charles Law is my professor, and I got his book. So Charles, I want you to remember this when you're grading my final this semester. Please, everyone, buy this book. Right now. Please buy it. Do me a favor. Okay, now let me get that.
I thought you were going to read from my book. I was wondering.
That was really fun. Okay. It's called Just Give It 5 Minutes. Just give it 5 minutes. Crack up daybreak, a color of drive on. The blue-white fresh air whisks past my fists. Through grass, the willows leave green blades kiss. A bird flits unfettered, undrawn. Morning awakens, stretches, and racing on. I see the sweet start of day, leave in a gist, cloud over by clouds, like zebra schist. I can see the morning, I can see the sunny morning getting gone. The weather's ugly brother comes in to set. A wrinkle in the massive land's rock bones. Water streams from the heavens in a jet. Cold gale blitz out around our home. Getting inside leaves me in a sear sweat. Utah's weather is the theme of this poem.
Oh, that was loud. Okay, that was just a great night. Thank you to everyone who has come, to everyone who's read. Thank you especially to all of you who donated books for our raffle. I first started coming to Helicon West in 2015 and was immediately welcomed into this community. And it's wonderful to be here with you all tonight. I don't really have anything else, so if there's more food. Oh, Star has more though.
Take food, take food.
Graduate students and everyone else.
And please, before you leave, would you stack your chairs over there?
Yes.